today. So Brother Ben is going to be preaching, and we have a very special guest speaker with us this morning, Brother Micah Brinkley from Children's Homes in Paragould, Arkansas, which our congregation has been proud to support under the leadership of our elders for many years. So Brother Micah is going to speak with us this morning and give us an update on the work of the Children's Home. We are also pleased, as always, to present Brother Micah with a check for $1,000 for the Children's Home. And so without further ado, please give Micah your full attention. Micah?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Y'all got that on the screen in there to open up? Okay, good deal. Talk as much as I want. Hey, you know what? You're not by yourself over here. We got to worrying that all the sheep are over here and there was one goat over here, but we're all sheep. Okay, we're all sheep. Okay. Gotcha. So they're working on download issue. So let's just see here real quick. I know this is probably not right to do, but we're in the third period and it's 1-1 in hockey. Yes, they're tied up. They're tied up 1-1 in the third period. Maybe we need to say a little prayer. I don't know. I tell people, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but there's just something about the Olympics that makes you a fan of all those sports, especially for the United States, that you want to watch and be a part of. Yeah, could y'all put the hockey game on the screen back here? Could y'all put the hockey game on the screen back here, and I can watch that while y'all see what's up front. So anyway, well, it's good to be with you. I told a few people, y'all forgot to pay your heating bill up here. I think on Wednesday of last week, we were 75 and sunny in Paragould. And I got out of my van this morning in the parking lot, and I was like, oh, my word. So hopefully it will come this way. It's cold in Paragould this morning, too. Not quite as cold as it is up here. I think y'all got the wind that we don't have right now. So anyway, well, it's good to be with you this morning. I always enjoy coming up here to visit with you all and bring my southern accent to you. Although many of you have a foundation of the South, too, so I get it. You're closet Southerners. You say y'all and ain't in private, and then they're all proper when you get in front of people. So anyway. All right, just a few things to remind you about this morning. I always do this everywhere I go to a church, just to make sure everybody remembers who we are and what we do, because sometimes you have new people or people who weren't here for the last presentation and all. So you remember that we started as a ministry of the Seventh and Molar Church of Christ there in Paragould back in 1955. This past September, we celebrated our 70th anniversary of caring for kids. A lot has changed in those 70 years because the needs of children have changed quite a bit and why they come to us. Early on, we were your typical orphanage. We cared for kids who didn't have parents to take care of them, who had kind of been abandoned, whatever the case may be, and that's who we cared for. Now then, those are very few of the kids that we care for, because the kids who come to us now just come to us with a lot of problems, a lot of issues, some of which are self-imposed, self-inflicted, others because of things that are being done to them. But they're coming to us to try to find care. The eldership of the Seventh Molar Church of Christ still serves as our board of directors, as our leadership, and we're thankful for that. We are always thankful to be under the leadership of that eldership, because it keeps us very focused on a ministry. And we always want our ministry to be first in all things that we do. Still, forever and ever, as long as I'm there, and as long as God allows us to continue to be there, we will not take government funding. And I tell people a lot that we see more and more and more with things that are going on in our world, how that the wisdom in that. I think early on, a lot of people thought, well, you know what? It could be a lot easier on y'all if y'all just took the government money. You wouldn't have to raise so much money. I'm like, yeah, but at what cost? Okay? At what cost? Sometimes they can dangle things in front of you saying, oh, this is not going to affect you in any way. We're not going to impose anything on you. And they get you hooked on the money, and then all of a sudden, rules change. And we've seen that happen a lot. To a lot of our sister agencies even, who have, because they've lost connection with their donors, with their supporting churches, they've tapped into government funding, and now then they're kind of hooked on it. And what happens in a lot of places like that is that now then the government is now saying to them, well, if you're going to take our money, then these are the kind of kids you've got to take into care. And there are sometimes kids who have come to them from very, very rough backgrounds and crime and things like that also puts safety at risk of people. And so we're thankful that we still have the opportunity to be able to choose the kids that we can work with and the families to work with who we feel like can be helped and relationships can be changed and saved. So again, your funding is important to us. We are who we are because of people just like you from all across the country who support children's homes. I travel a lot. I was telling Nate earlier that I'm here today. Next Sunday I'll be at Park Hills, south of St. Louis. I don't remember where the next Sunday. I get one Sunday off in March, and then the last Sunday in March I'll be in Des Moines, Iowa. I'll be sometime in May, I think it is, or June. I'll be in the River Road Church of Christ in Newport Richey, Florida, which is outside of Tampa. I go to churches as far north as southern Michigan, all the way down to Tampa and multiple states. So the mission of children's homes has really spread. Right now we have a church in Colorado that is looking at hopefully beginning to support children's homes. I hope it's in the mountains because I want to go. I'm still trying to find that church in Hawaii. It's not working yet. So anyway, but we are thankful for all the support that people have rallied around. And a lot of people ask how it all spread. And you know what? It spreads the way so many things spread. People who grew up in a congregation local to us, supporting children's homes, and moved away, but because their family was so involved in children's homes, they moved off somewhere to a church that wasn't supporting a children's homes, or maybe wasn't happy with who they were supporting. And they were like, hey, let's tell you about children's homes. And we ended up going there and speaking. We picked up a church a couple of years ago down in Alabama. Well, actually, it was Newport Richey, in the River Road Church of Christ in Florida, contacted us because they were supporting a children's home who took government funding. And they just weren't liking the direction. And they were looking for some place that did not take government funding, that was really focused on God's Word. And that's how we made the connection with them. So you never know where somebody's going to go and spread the word of children's homes. It's very important to us, all of our employees, we are all members of the Churches of Christ, to present that consistent view of God's Word. We have kids that come to us into our residential program in Paragould, may transition into foster care, may then transition into an adoptive home. In each one of those transitions, we don't want God to change. We don't want God's Word to change. We want to continue that consistent view of God, and that's very important to us. So it's very important to us that we all worship of like faith at Paragould. And as I've told you many, many times, God's Word is our foundation. It is the foundation on which we are built, the way we started. And I've showed you these pictures before. These are the Bibles. You see some of them there that we give all of our kids in care. Theirs is different because theirs has their name engraved on the front of it. And it's the Defending the Faith Study Bible from Apologetics Press. And I love the days that I get to present Bibles. This year I have presented a lot of Bibles because typically in the summer and then after school's out in December, we have a lot of transition of kids who are able to go back home, and we have new kids coming in. And so the beginning of the year, of the school year and the beginning of the actual year is a big time for us getting Bibles engraved and giving them out to kids. And it's always interesting to see the reaction of all the kids because it's always the same. I don't care why they're there, what their emotions are when they arrive, they always do the same thing. And I walk in, I try to be there, we know in advance they're coming, I get the Bibles engraved in advance, so the day they arrive, I'm one of the first people they get to see and give them their Bible. And I need to talk to them about the importance of God's Word and why we give that to them and how it's the foundation of what we do and how we spend a lot of time in God's Word. And then I turn the Bible around in its box and I open it up, and no matter if that child is quiet, emotional, whatever, the first thing that happens is they get a little gasp because we've given them a Bible. And the next thing they do is every child will take their hand and run their fingers across their name. And some of them will go, and my name is spelled right. Because some of their names are kind of difficult sometimes. But I don't know, it's just a It's a comforting thing for them to get that. And to see that we took the time to having it personalized with their name on it, that it is theirs forever. The other thing we've got some ladies down there. I tell people this carefully because we don't want to be inundated with them, but we have some ladies down there who do quilts for us. And so what they get from us is they get a Bible with their name on it and a quilt for their bed of comfort, of security, how those things go together for them. And I tell people that carefully because I know a lot of people quilt, and all of a sudden we could have thousands of quilts everywhere, and we don't need thousands of quilts. But those are just special moments when these kids come in to care for us, and we're thankful for that. You've seen this list a lot of all of our programs at children's homes and what we do. Just to give you an update on a couple of things. So academics, we talked a lot about academics and what we do at children's homes in the classroom with our kids. Many of the kids that come to us are severely behind in school for a lot of reasons. And so part of our task at children's homes is to get these kids back on a correct academic level, or as correct as we can get it while they're with us, so that when they leave us and can go back into a regular school environment, if they're going back home, that they can be prepared to do a little better in school than what they were before. So I just want to give you some things about what you've seen right now. Right now, our students are showing a gain of 2.5 grade levels in reading in one school year or less. 2.5 years in one school year. In math, they're seeing a gain of 2 grade levels in one school year or less, which is pretty amazing for these kids. It just goes to show what we are able to do one-on-one in a classroom with these kids, personal instruction with these kids. Gavin, he grew 4+ years in reading and math in just 2 years. Connor, who has graduated from high school and who's actually working in Paragould now, he grew 6 years in reading and math in 4 years. I mean, I go to some places and a lot of teachers in the room, they're going, how in the world are you doing that? But it's personalized, and we're able to really work with them and really focus on them. We have other kids that are showing 4 to 6 grade levels of growth in just 1 year in classes. And part of the reason that happens is because these kids come to us from an environment that has not been good for them academically. And I know I've told you before that kids deal with so much, and so to expect them to walk into a classroom and to be able to turn off all the noise that's going on in their lives to focus in a classroom is next to impossible. So I urge you, if kids aren't doing well in school, don't blame your teachers, okay? They're the saviors in this. They're the ones who are trying to do well, but the problem is all the peripheral stuff that's going on in the lives of these kids is keeping them from doing well in school. Of kids being abused, of kids not having any food to eat, and all those things are going on in their minds. We cannot expect them to do well in a normal classroom setting with all that going on. But at children's homes, we alleviate all that stuff from them. They don't have to worry about being abused. They know there's plenty of food. They know there's a warm bed to sleep in. They know that we're taking care of them. So they don't have the pressure of that when they walk into our classrooms every day. They just get to be students and get to be kids and get to have time spent with them doing well academically. And so that's exciting for them. I love these stories right here. Connor, who is another Connor, he's ER, not OR. Connor plans to graduate in May through homeschool program, through children's homes. And you see on there, he's going to stay with us till the end of the year. He's going to be starting a 4-year apprenticeship program to be an electrician. And I will say this about the way our academic system works. We have multifacets, and we have multiple ways that we can get a kid toward getting their high school diploma or GED. So it's not just one focused path. We have multiple paths we go through. Sometimes it's done through homeschool. Sometimes it's done through Graduate Arkansas, which you see Caitlin there. Caitlin actually finished high school on the 18th of this month. She's 16. In the last 2 weeks before she graduated high school, she clept out of junior and senior English and statistics. Okay? She is an intelligent young lady. The problem for her was not her intelligence and ability to do well in school. Her problem was being able to go to the school and not get involved in all the stuff and dealing with peer pressure and all those kinds of things that pulled her away from being a good kid. Okay? But you see, Caitlin is going to be with us at the end of March. She's going to start an 8-week CNA program at Black River Technical College there in Paragould, and then eventually wants to go into college to get her RN. And so, yeah, we're trying to figure out now what to do with Caitlin because she's going to be with us, but she's only 16. So we're trying to find a part-time job for her. She's actually applied at Chick-fil-A in Paragould. They will hire her at 16. And so trying to get some things to help her kind of get acclimated into independence and those kind of things. So yeah, we love this one is that some of our kids went to Greene County Tech and took the state civics test. Colton scored a 99, Sabrina scored a 99, Rain a 91, and Cole an 85. That's the pictures of the kids up there. And you see the note across the bottom that each one of these kids are dealing with things like dyslexia and other learning issues. But they were able to go and take these state civics tests and do that well on it. They would have never done that well on a state civics test before they came to children's homes. Just to kind of give you some idea of how we're working through the process. Sabrina, I hope I've got this picture in here. Sabrina's the second picture over the first girl that's wearing the crocheted jacket, shawl, whatever you call it. So there it is. She made that herself. She self-taught herself how to do that and took the time and made it. And we thought, that's just pretty cool. It was really neat. And just a great young lady. She really, really is. And so we're proud of the kids that find these things. We have what's called passion time. And these kids find a passion of something they want to do, whether it's art, whether it's something like this, whether it's reading, whatever. And then we provide funding for their passion time, for them to go get that stuff, to make jewelry or to crochet or to sew or to whatever the case may be, whatever they find this is something that it's just a hobby they like to do. And we help provide the funding for them to be able to go do those things. This was her passion. It was crocheting, and she taught herself how to do it. The other thing I want to talk about here on the list is equine program. This is Toffee. Toffee was just born a few weeks ago. So y'all remember that horrible snow and ice we had just a few weeks ago? You know when Toffee was born? Right in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it when it was so freezing cold and we were like, we're not sure if Toffee's going to make it. But Toffee has made it and is doing well. Toffee was named by our kids. They all decided that was the name that the horse needed. So Toffee came to us. You see Mama there with Toffee. We had a donor down in Texas who raises horses and breeds them. And so he had 2 horses that he sent to us, both pregnant. And he's like, I've trained these horses for your equine program. And when their babies are born, you let me know when they kind of get up where they need to be, and I'll bring the babies back to Texas, and I'll train them to bring back to your equine program. His goal is he would love to be able to supply every horse we have in our equine program. Mama horses are not big horses. We have miniature horses. When our kids come into care, they work with miniature horses first because a full-size horse is pretty scary for them. And so we start out on miniatures. These 2 horses are more of a mid-size horse, and that's kind of how big they're going to be. And so we're thankful for that. So, yeah, the other horse that we got, the other mama horse, any day now will be giving birth. Let's hope it's a little warmer because it was kind of hard to get out to the equine farm with 8 inches of snow and ice on the ground for us, trying to get up to the barns to get in there to keep, baby warm and, fed and water and all those kinds of things. So anyway, but yeah, so y'all are some of the first to be introduced to Toffee, and we're proud of Toffee. Scholarships, a little update on what our scholarship program is right now. This is Asia. We've showed her picture before. Asia is now getting close to completing her degree from Arkansas State University in Jonesboro in social work, and we're proud of Asia and what she's doing. This is Connor with the OR, who we did statistics on a while ago. Connor went to Black River Technical College, worked in mechanics. He's now working for Glensane Motors there in Paragould, working for them Danny Ford, who owns that dealership, has been a long, long, long time supporter of children's homes. His father-in-law was too. And so they were excited about hiring Connor, and Connor's doing a great job. And you see the picture of his tool chest he just recently bought to use for all of his tools there at Glensane. So Connor lives there in Paragould, has an apartment there in Paragould. Still worships at the Seventh Muller Church of Christ there in Paragould. Is very active, and it just does my heart good when I hear that Connor was up at church on Sunday morning doing the devotional talk, or for communion, or doing something else, to get leading a prayer, or goes on trips with the singles group, or whatever the case may be. And I love that he continued to stay there with them and stay plugged into them. The one I don't have up here is Serena. I've told you before with Serena, she left children's homes, went home to an aunt. We went to college at the University of Wisconsin in Oshkosh. She got her undergraduate degree in psychology. She's now in her second year of her master's program at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. She was one of only 12 students selected for the program in psychology for her master's degree. And so we have stayed with her with scholarship money for that. And the committee is making the decision to fund her last year of her master's program. So she will have finished her undergrad and her master's degree totally debt-free because of our scholarship program. And we're thankful for that. The CNA program that Caitlin's going to be in, our scholarship committee is going to cover the cost of that as well as her when she goes off to college working her RN to help cover the cost of that. So however we can stay with these kids longer, I think the better it is, because it just helps them continue to know they have a family, a support system around them that sometimes they don't have when they get out on their own. Many of these kids can stay with us till they're 18, and then there's nowhere to go. And it's kind of like sink or swim. Try to figure it out. So hopefully our scholarship program will help them do that. It was funny when we first started with our scholarship program, everybody was going traditional college route. And we didn't have a lot of kids going more technical school, things like that. Now the majority of the kids are going the technical route, and I think it's great, you know, because I've told people a lot that there's more than one way to be educated to be successful and productive members of society. And I'm thankful that our society has kind of caught up with that to say that, you know what, there's just as much value in learning a trade and going out there and having a trade that you do than there is having a certificate on the wall. You find your path and whatever you're capable of doing, and you do it with all your might, and we're going to stand behind you and help you do that. And so we're excited that more of our kids are kind of making that choice, because quite frankly, some of these kids academically, it would be a struggle for them to go to college. And they could go to college and be a lot of money in debt and get frustrated with it and just pull away from it and not succeed in it. And so knowing that option's available to them. So we have a really good relationship with Black River Technical College there in Paragould to help some of these kids do some of these things, whether it's nursing program or electrician or welding or any number of things that they offer there. And so we're thankful for the relationship with it. You know our campus, pictures of our campus, our food center, the groceries y'all collect, this is where they all go. It was great when we had ice and snow on the ground, so house moms weren't having to go into town to get groceries. They just walk across campus, and they get their stuff there, and they get their perishable items and those kinds of things. Although I'll tell you what, you know in the South, we are not prepared for snow and ice. And people tend to panic, you know, and it's like, you got a risk of snow and ice coming in. Everybody hits Walmart, and they buy up all the milk, and they buy up all the toilet paper and the bread and everything else. So I found myself trudging around in snow and ice to different grocery stores trying to find milk to bring to campus to get it there. I'm like, y'all, it's okay. You don't have to go crazy here, you know. Yeah, but I was shocked when I went to Walmart one day and there wasn't a single roll of toilet paper in the store, and I'm going, this isn't COVID, okay? It's just, you know, a couple of days of, you know, we got some snow on the ground. It'll go away. But anyway, so we're still thankful for that. Those groceries come in very handy for us. Plus what the churches do, helping with our kids with our lunches. And part of our life skill training program, having kids make their lunches to take to school every day. And so we get a lot of those things now that come in. They can pack their lunches. We have some special days. Friday was one of them. I told all the house moms, tell the kids I don't have to bring lunch today, and I went and got Chick-fil-A for everybody, and brought it into the Learning Center. So we have fun moments like that, and they're excited about it. And that's what I get my most hugs from kids, is on Chick-fil-A Day. And thankfully we have one in Paragould now. I used to have to go to Jonesboro and pick it up, but now we've got one in town, so that's good. Clothing Center, you know about it, and the clothing for the kids there. I got to be in there a few days ago when some of the kids were coming to get clothes. It is so true that sometimes the kids that come in to care for us, sometimes they come with the clothes on their back, and that's about it. That's what they're coming from. And so having the clothing center there that the kids can go and start looking through clothes and finding what they can wear and that kind of stuff. And it's so funny because some of these kids, a lot of them come from poverty situations. They're at risk for food, independencies, and just all that stuff. And so they go to the clothing center and they walk in and they're like, I get to go in through these clothes and I get to get whatever I want and I get to, I get to choose. And I'm like, yeah, you do. And so it's fun to watch them shop. The girls, they have a blast going to the dressing room trying on their clothes. The boys, you know what the hot topic is for boys these days? Some of our boys in our Learning Center. You will never guess what it is. It's suits. They want suits to wear to church. They love dressing up on Sunday mornings in their coat and tie and going to church, or wearing a tie and a tucked-in shirt to church. They love doing that. They have never had anything like that before. So to be able to go up there and find some clothes like that, they think they're all that and something else to be able to do that. So anyway, so the clothing center is a great thing for us, and we're so thankful that we do it this way now, as opposed to the way we used to do it with kids having to go through garbage bags looking for their clothes. There's a lot more pride and self-esteem in it this way than the way it used to be. Our other programs, because we have the Lafayette Equine Center, where you saw Toffee. We have the Olive Ranch, which is about 15 minutes from us. Just to remind you that we actually produce all the beef that we consume at children's homes. We also grow all the hay that we need for our horses and our cattle for nourishment. Our Olive Ranch now then has become a model program for watering systems. And our county extension office invites farmers to come out and to see how we've done our watering systems out there for sustainability and keeping our pastures healthy and that kind of thing. The Paragould Utilities, their wastewater treatment plant, they process all the waste, turn it into biosolids, and then they sell it for people to use for fertilizer. But for children's homes, they donate it to us. And they literally bring their trucks out and go through our fields at the ranch and fertilize our fields for us, free of charge. And so, so that keeps our hay production, our fields healthier. And so we're thankful that the ranch also, we have our ponds for fishing and all that kind of stuff. And between the ranch and the retreat center, we have a 27-hole disc golf course now. So our kids love going out there and do that. People come in and use it all the time. I know here in a few weeks, Freed-Hardeman University has one of their big social clubs coming in for the weekend for a mixed retreat. And so we're thankful for all these properties because it just kind of points everything back to children's homes and what we are doing, how all these things help us kind of be self-sustaining as much as possible. On the horizon, I'm not sure we've talked about this a lot. I'm going to kind of flesh this out a little bit for you. We have recently purchased land, and we're going to be starting a new program. And so, some statistics for you. In the state of Arkansas, 30% of Arkansas children live in single-parent homes. 30% of all the kids in Arkansas live in single-parent homes. 35% of single parents in Arkansas live below the poverty line. That's a significant amount. 30% of single parents in Arkansas report substance abuse issues in their homes. So we know there's this place that we need to stand in a gap, because in all these single-parent homes, there are children who, if something doesn't change in those single parents' lives, those children risk being in the child welfare system, being taken away from them because they can't be cared for, whatever the case may be. And so what we have done is we have purchased land, and we are building what's called Chi Space. SPACE is an acronym for Single Parents and Children Experience. And we're going to be building an apartment community where we're going to be working with single moms and single dads and their children. We want it to be a safe space, obviously. It is going to be a gated community that they live in. That way, people from their past cannot get to them easily. They feel protected. Plus, there's going to be a lot of kids on the property. And so, therefore, we want them to be able to run and play and be safe doing that. Obviously, with all things at children's homes, we want it to be a spiritual space where God is served. And there's going to be worship and those kinds of things there, and teaching and mentoring, understanding God's Word and how to build that relationship with God. It's going to be a family space. We want them to feel like they're in a community. You know what? We've seen through so many years at children's homes, the kids that we care for are the kids that society normally runs from. They just do. And what we're also learning in a lot of these single-parent families is they're also the people run from. One of our focus groups is going to be single parents who have recently completed successfully addiction recovery programs. And after completing the program, one of the first things that happens to them is they get their children back. And number one, it's hard enough to maintain your sobriety on your own. But then you add the stress of parenting back into that situation, and a lot of times it sends those people back into their addiction. And we want to try to be that catalyst to help them not go back into their addiction. That they can successfully reunify with their children, because that's our goal for every child at children's homes, is to be able to reunify with their family. We will never take the place of family. We can provide everything in the world for these kids. But at the end of the day, the kids at children's homes in Paragould right now, if you went to them and said, would you rather stay here with us with everything that we give to you, or would you rather go home to mom and dad? They will always choose mom and dad. Kids will endure a lot to be with their biological moms and dads. We've seen it happen over and over and over again. And so our hope is with this new program is that we will help these parents reunify with their kids, or single parents that are just struggling out there to take care of their kids. Helping them. And that's the other thing, is that we want this to be an empowering and equipping space. This is not a thing where we're going to be landlords and they get to stay with us forever. They will have a path that they set out for themselves. Their path may be just getting their family back together and job placement and helping them get on their feet so that they can transition back into society as productive members of that society. Their plan may be, I'd like to go to school. I'd like to get a degree. I'd like to get certification in something. And so we're going to help them do that. That will be part of their plan. But we're going to do life skill training. We're going to do entrepreneurial work with them. We're going to help them learn how to manage money, how to be parenting, how to parent their kids, how to teach them how to cook, all these kinds of things in our safe environment. When they come into the program, it'll be a rent-free for them. For a couple of reasons. Number one, especially those who are coming out of addiction recovery. The expectation of those folks to be able to come back into Paragould and find a job, given their past, that's going to pay them enough money to rent an apartment at $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month, plus pay utilities, plus deal with clothing and food for their family, and everything else they've got to deal with. It's crazy to think that's going to happen. They're not going to. They're going to have to grow into that. And so what our goal is, number one, they won't pay rent when they come in. Now, they will eventually start paying what we're going to call rent, but it's not actually going to be rent. Because we want them to begin to acclimate themselves as they have a job, to learn the expenses of this, to be able to save the money to pay their bills. But what they'll do is they'll pay that money to us. And they'll grow. The longer they're there, their rent may grow based on what their job is and the money they're making, but all that money is going to go into a savings account for them. And then when they get ready to launch out on their own with their family, then they've already got a savings account built up that they can take with them to rent an apartment, to have that first and last month's rent, whatever the case may be. We also have a program in Paragould. A lot of counties in Arkansas have it now. It's called 100 Families. And it is a program where, like in Greene County, for example, there are a lot of things available to people through services that the state offers. Now, obviously, we're not going to take the money for it at children's homes. But there are things that these individual parents can go find, be it single-parent scholarship fund, be it a voucher for daycare, whatever the case may be. 100 Families is kind of a clearinghouse where instead of somebody moving into Paragould having to figure this out on their own and try to figure out all the services available to them, 100 Families provides a caseworker for them. And they help coordinate all the things that are available to them based on their situation. And so 100 Families would help them then go, empower them to learn these services that might be available to them because of their situation, for them to get that money on their own, not through children's homes. We're providing the safety of a place to live, but we're also empowering them to learn the systems that are out there and what funding might be available to them to be able to continue to grow and provide for their family. And so we're talking about the possibility of allowing 100 Families to have an office location on our property in this new community to kind of work with our families, but also other families in the community. We're going to see where that goes. So anyway, we are not going to be building your typical apartment community, okay? It's not going to be like rows and rows and rows of quadplexes of everything that looks the same. Because we want them to feel like they are living in a neighborhood, in a community, of a family space. So right now we've hired a project engineer on the property. We've bought the property. I think here's the property we bought. It's almost 30 acres there in Paragould. The location of the property is great. It is right across the street from one of our industrial parks, job placement. It is right down the street from Black River Technical College training, and it's about a half a mile or less from one of our local school systems. So the location of the land is perfect for the families that are going to live here, because a lot of services that they need and will use are very close to them. But we do want it to be a community feel. It's going to look like, you've seen like in the St. Louis area, these mixed-use neighborhoods. It's going to have the feel of a mixed-use neighborhood, but with a lot of green space, because there's going to be a lot of kids there. And we want them to have places to run and play. And there's going to be playgrounds, there's going to be pavilions, there's going to be an office complex there where it's going to have a multi-purpose area for them to be indoors to play if they want to, and have places for families to gather and teach them. We're going to have a big commercial kitchen in the building, so when we're teaching them how to, we may have one night in therapy where we're teaching everybody how to use a crock pot. And there's going to be a bunch of crock pots in there. We're going to teach them how to cook in a crock pot. I mean, you think everybody knows how to do that, but not everybody does, okay? We can't take for granted that they know how to do all these things. And so we have to help them do them. And so we're excited about this. We have a lot of people. Matter of fact, the reason I'm coming back to Park Hills next week, I spoke at Park Hills about a year and a half ago. But they somehow heard about our single-parent program. And the leadership at Park Hills called me and said, we need you to come back. Can you come back in March? Because this is a program we think we would be all over, wanting to be involved in. And so I'm coming back to Park Hills next weekend to talk to them specifically about our single-parent program. And I think here's why it is. For a lot of times, I can remember this, in my Pocahontas days as a little kid, I can remember the first time I ever heard the word divorce. And I was like, what is that? Because we didn't talk about it. That was something we didn't talk about in the church. People knew it was happening, but we didn't discuss it. And there's other things out there that sometimes we don't talk about in the church because we don't think we need to talk about it. This is one of those things. And what I've seen, the places I have been, is the overwhelming response from people going, and families going, man, I wish our son had had this. I wish our daughter had had a place like this. Because so many families, even within the church, are dealing with these issues. Like they're dealing with drug addiction. Like they're dealing with divorce. Satan is everywhere. And just because we wear the name Christian and we worship at the churches of Christ doesn't make us immune to Satan in our lives, because the world's still out there. And so just like we care for those kids a lot that people run from because they don't want to be involved with them because they're hard, this is what we see this program as something we're going to run to be able to start working with these families to help keep them together. Because you know what? If we can do that, then look at the number of kids who won't end up in our child welfare systems, because we were able to help a family stay together and have the means to be able to be together. So we're excited about that. You see the things on the screen. You always see this here, and y'all do a great job at so many of these things on the list here. I remind you always, if you have Best Choice products up here, don't throw those barcodes away. I'll come after you. Okay? Because those, we get money from the company. Last 2 years of barcodes, we took all that money. We bought all new mattresses for all the beds for the kids. So there's a good amount of money that they collected with that. So keep that in mind as much as possible. Change for Children, if you're ever interested in Change for Children, let me know. It's our annual change campaign that we do. People do coin banks. They do give through our annual campaigns with it. Last year, they're still auditing the campaign for last year to make sure all the gifts got posted the way they were supposed to get posted. But I think that we will end up with the largest amount we ever received in Change for Children. And it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $460,000 that we got in our Change for Children campaign last year. We started this campaign in 1978. I think it was 78, 76, 78, something like that. The first year campaign, we had $25,000 that first year. And so you see how it has significantly grown for all that year. And I love Change for Children because you know what? Anybody can participate in Change for Children. We get the sweetest cans in that on the label of it was written by a child. Because moms and dads were like, we want to teach you how to give. And so here's our change. You put it in the coin bank, and then you write your name on the coin bank. And then we send a letter to that child, kind of for that child on their level, thanking them for what they did of doing Change for Children. Bible school classes send it to us. I mean, it's amazing the number of people who will do that either through the coin bank, through just writing a check to us, whatever the case may be. So if you're ever interested in that, let me know. We can do it. There's multiple ways to do it. I told you before, that's the coin banks. They don't look like that right now, but that's the coin banks. That's how a lot of kids learn the importance of giving. I remember going to one church in Little Rock one day, and they were handing out change cans. They were kicking off their Change for Children campaign. And one little boy who was actually graduated from high school this year, which just kind of hurts my heart because it makes me know I'm older. His name is Nathan. And Nathan got one of the coin banks. I guess he thought in his mind he was supposed to fill it up that day, because he started walking around church after church that morning with that coin bank, sticking it in everybody's face, and wasn't taking no for an answer. And he probably had it close to full, because, I mean, all of a sudden, all these men were the change out of their pockets. Women were taking the change out of their purses. I mean, he was doing everything. He was bound and determined, I got to fill it up today. And so we love that. If you don't want to do change, because a lot of people don't carry change anymore, then we have this mechanism. So you can see here where you can go to our website. Is that my phone? What in the world? Why is my phone going off? I'll look at the score. I'll not let you out of here before there's a score. Anyway, you can go to our website, click on the Roundup button, register your credit card or debit card, choose what you want to be your spending limit for the month. And when you hit that spending limit, it cuts it off. It rounds up your purchases. Say you want to do $10 a month, and Roundup, once you hit $10 a month, it cuts it off, starts over again the next month. At the end of the month, it sends us the money, sends you a text message or an email letting you know how much was sent for the month to you. And so it's a great way to try to start recouping some of that change out there that nobody carries anymore. Although I will tell you, they talk about there being a penny shortage, not at children's homes or anything. I mean, we get bags and bags and bags of pennies that we fill up in our coin counter. So I might not be okay. I might be okay with pennies going away because we get a bunch of them. So anyway, so keep that in mind as much as possible. So again, thank you so much. And I do hope that you will be so prayerful about this new program we're beginning, because it is a big undertaking for us. A lot of people are amazed that we're still going to try to do this without government funding. but that's who we are, and that's what we're committed to. And I think as long as we are committed to that, God is going to provide the increase. We have faith in that God's going to provide the increase. So, in case you're wondering, just because, I got to tell you, I'm going to be disappointed, I'm afraid. The end of the third, they're still tied 1-1. I'm not sure what that means. Any hockey fans know what that means? Do they have a shoot-off or something like in soccer? Oh, they go to overtime. Okay. Okay, overtime, then shootout. Okay. He's our guy now to know what's going on. Thank y'all so much.
Make them jump part of real estate to farmland.